Hey y'all, just wanted to update y'all on things. So I talked to my lawyer today, and I asked him what he thought of the sentencing memo draft I submitted and all that. And the thing with my lawyer is sometimes, well, one time, during a brief conversation and one message, I really felt like he was behind me 100%. He was pushing for probation, because kind of like that whole, shoot for the moon if you miss, you land with the stars thing. I felt like he was on board with that, and I felt like if we're really pushing for probation, even if we don't get it, it'll definitely help us get some form of leniency. Um, Sorry, there was a hair on my shoulder. You know, but I feel like if he's not pushing for that, then, if he's just kind of like, the max she's going to get is 4, and, we would appreciate anything less. I think with that second attitude, I'm definitely going to prison. You know what I mean? Um, so anywho, so I talked to my lawyer today, asked him, how, is the sentencing memo submitted? Was it ever finalized? His opinion on the draft, that kind of thing. And he says that he had one of his paralegals polish it up a little. And then over the weekend, he's going to do some more work on it, which I'm not sure if that means he's going to take my literary work and chop it up to nothing and turn it into crap, or if there's really polishing and improving going on here. He said that he's hoping to have it finalized sometime early next week. He'll shoot it to me in an email, get my opinion, see if there's anything I feel needs added or modified or taken out before he submits it. Um, I asked him, is there any chance maybe you heard, something from, in regards to what probation may be recommending. I said, I know that they're saying that I'm not a threat to the community and I'm not a flight risk, which I know are the two major factors in determining if a person should, needs to be detained immediately. And a lot of times it also impacts, the opinion of the judge and if a person needs to be detained, as a result of what they get at sentencing. And he said, oh, probation doesn't make a recommendation. They just write your PSR. That's incorrect. So that was further disheartening. Mind you, he's only been doing the federal public defender thing for a year. His practice is, medical malpractice and family court. Small claims lawsuits, that kind of thing. So he's really kind of new to all this. But none of which makes me feel any more secure. So then I ask him, I say, well, do you know if the prosecutor submitted a sentencing memorandum, and if so, what he asked for in that? I said, being that the court kind of handed him his butt, or the judge kind of handed him his butt at my plea hearing, for the fact that there's pretty much no evidence in my case, but yet I'm standing before him, potentially going to prison, I figure he'll be kind of humble in what he asked for. And my lawyer was like, man, not necessarily. The prosecutor will likely play up the fact that outside of statute, outside of your plea deal, you would have been looking at 10 years and now you're just looking at 4. And basically, play up the fact that 4 would be generous in the hopes that you get the full 4. He said, but then again, when we finalize our sentencing memo, we'll send a copy to the judge. But we're also going to go ahead and send a copy to the prosecutor and give him a chance to get back with us on if he's comfortable with what we're asking for or not. He said, obviously if the prosecutor says, he's comfortable with an outcome being probation, it's certainly much, much more likely. But if he's not, and especially if he's pushing for the maximum end of the parameters, the 4 years, it'd be nice to have a heads up and know that before we're actually in sentencing, so that my lawyer can be, better prepared to more aggressively, kind of push. But he didn't really use the term aggressively, and he seemed pretty passive. And during this conversation, he repetitively said, well, anything less than 4 is a win. He said, really, the 4 is a win, because you could have been doing 10. But anything less than 4, He said you should walk into that courtroom expecting to get 4. And just, be incredibly thankful if you get anything less. Which is very different than a previous conversation we had a little while back where he was like, yeah, probation is a viable option. We need to push for that. If he goes in there and when he speaks to the judge, if his disposition and his dialogue is pretty much, well, we're glad 4's her max, and anything less would be really nice, but if you give her the 4, don't worry, she's prepared for it. To me, feels like I'm definitely going to prison if that's going to be how my lawyer's going to represent things and speak. And, I kind of feel like I've been tired and burnt out. Like, I'm so mentally and emotionally exhausted, I don't even have an emotional reaction, to this. But I've been burnt out for a while now here lately on just everything. I'm very proactive. I'm an analytical thinker. Some people would say I'm a little too proactive. I know it annoys my lawyer a little bit that I'm so, deeply involved in every single aspect of my defense. Because I'm sure he's used to people that just kind of sit at home and show up for court dates and just it is what it is. That don't really learn the dynamics and the process and the different fundamentals and angles and, and really try to advocate for themselves or even scrutinize their lawyer's performance, in advocating for them. But, so my lawyer said that sometime next week he'll have the sentencing memo finalized. He'll email me a copy. We'll speak about it briefly, and then he'll submit it to the judge and the prosecutor. And he said at some point before my hearing, we will discuss, kind of role play or plan, exactly what he and I individually are going to be saying. At my, sorry that's so loud. People driving by so loud. I'm very sorry about that. But what he and I are going to say and what angles we're going to we're going to use potentially be more effective versus what we're going to avoid saying and what angles would be detrimental potentially. But so we're going to come up with some kind of strategy, have a little meeting via phone or in person to strategize how we're going to do the rundown at sentencing. But like I already wrote my allocution. I already wrote what I'm going to say at sentencing. Obviously I guess it's good to have a chance to pre-say that, to rehearse it to my lawyer and get his opinion. But his opinion is not one that is very educated by experience. And I have been reading up articles, watching videos and interviews and stuff of people whose opinions are seasoned by experience. And I just have an odd feeling that he's gonna critique my allocution from his inexperienced perspective, and taking his advisement based upon that would probably, possibly, maybe probably, I don't know, be more detrimental than beneficial. But at the same token, I don't want to get in there and then not stick to the script, and then me and the lawyer are kind of conflicting in how we're presenting things or what we're saying. And I just feel defeated. I feel defeated. I feel like with my lawyer being back to his original mind state, and he's really taken a long time to get things done, so obviously he's in no hurry, which is not good either. I told him I've decided I want to submit a personal narrative to the judge. I think it'll be beneficial. I've read a lot of sample personal narratives. I've watched videos and read articles, where federal judges discuss, what they want in a personal narrative, what's impactful, what is not impactful, what is counterproductive. And I really feel comfortable right now submitting a personal narrative in believing that it will be beneficial. And he was like, nah, we're not going to submit anything but just the standard things that you submit in these processes. We're not going to do anything, basically we're not going to do anything extra to help you get a better outcome. He said he's not really comfortable with that, So I could, go above his head and just directly send it to the judge like a personal letter. But that's really informal, and it shows a disregard for kind of chain of command, for lack of a better term. And judges tend to really dislike that. But if I don't do it that way, I can't do it. But, you know, do I risk the judge feeling like I'm undermining my authority, I'm undermining the courts by doing something against my lawyer's advisement and not through the proper channels? But maybe the personal narrative is effective and it kind of weighs itself out, you know, or maybe it's not effective or as effective as it should be, and maybe the overwhelming impression or tone the judge gets from me doing that is, oh, she's cocky, she's arrogant, you know, she's just kind of trying to lone wolf this thing with not a day of law school under her belt. You know, this is someone who thinks they're smarter than other people, which statistically I am smarter than most people. But you know, I just don't know. I guess I'm just going to leave the personal narrative thing alone and just not even touch it, because it's such a volatile, risky move that it just doesn't seem smart. But I'm very disheartened at my lawyer's current attitude, and I definitely feel defeated. I'm back to feeling how I felt. You know, at different points I've used the analogy. You know, I feel like I'm cleaning windows on a sinking ship. Like I'm the violinist in the orchestra on the Titanic as it's going down. And really, up until talking to my lawyer today, I mean, yes, I was burnt out, I was tired, but I felt like I pushed, I put the fight in, I did the research, I did the work, and you know, I was fairly confident that my outcome at sentencing would more than likely not include incarceration. Um, but after talking to him today and seeing where his mind is and seeing just his lack of motivation and his demeanor and in mostly his mind state. And mind you, I've been trying to get a hold of him for over a week. Like, I've been sending emails, I've left messages with 2 paralegals, I've called, you know, to kind of touch base after I sent the sentencing memo draft, you know, to kind of see where we were and what he thought and had he heard anything about these other things. And it's taken me well over a week to even have the 10-minute, 20-minute conversation we had earlier, which again makes me feel very, very insecure about how effective my lawyer will be, or how proactive he will be, or even just how much he really even cares about how this works out. I mean, he's back to that mentality he had a while back that really threw me off and was concerning to me, of, well, you know, 4 is better than 10. And if you get anything less than 4, it's not worst case scenario for you, and that's good news. And you know, I'm one to find, you know, the blessing in things, and I'm one to find the silver lining, and I'm one to really focus on the positive. But at this point, with my lawyer and just everything, you know, I feel very disheartened. So anyway, I wanted to give y'all an update on things. Positive vibes, prayers, just generally, you know, y'all's support is much appreciated. Um, and we're down to like 19 days and like so many hours until sentencing as of this moment. Um, Last time I checked, which was probably an hour or two ago, we're down to like 19 days and like 20 hours, I think. So we're probably down to like 19 days and the hours are somewhere in the teens, I don't know, until I actually walk into sentencing. But I'm definitely going to be hugging my son and my daughter and my mother a lot tighter at this point, knowing that I may not have an opportunity to do that for months or years. Um, and that may be happening very soon. So that's an update on the situation. I don't even know what else to say. So, good day, God bless, and we're going to get through this because we have to.